I've been waiting for this all day.
Hey, good afternoon, Rachelle, and good afternoon to everybody who's tuning in the Thrive and Edu community or on Twitter. How are you doing, Rachelle?
I'm doing great. It's Monday, it's 4 o'clock. I'm here with you and highlight of my day, right? I'm just
Right.
thinking like, I feel like I just talked to you, but we talk all the time anyway. And I felt like I just saw you, but that was Friday. I wish I would actually see you in person, but no, I'm excited to talk with you today.
Me too, and I'm excited for everybody that's tuning in. Please let us know how you're doing. Feel free to drop some comments and any questions you have. Rachelle, I thought we were going to have a guest on.
We've been having guests for the last couple of times, and I kind of missed the opportunity just to talk to you. So I thought that maybe instead that you and I would just talk, but maybe I'm not that interesting. So maybe we should just ditch that idea. And I don't know, do you have a better idea?
I think we should totally ditch that idea for sure and bring up somebody who knows all about ditching stuff. What do you
Yes,
think?
I think that's a great idea. Anybody you know that we could bring on like
Well,
like this?
I think you know him better than I do. I think we're thinking of the same person. So
I
why don't you introduce
I
us
think
to
so
this
too.
person?
All right. So I would like to welcome Matt Miller.
I've been in the
Hey, Matt.
backstage going, ditch that idea, ditch it.
Yeah. So
I'm
yay,
like,
thanks.
knock, 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 knock. Hey, can you guys let me in? Come on, can I join too?
Yes, we are glad you're here. And I don't know, Melody and I in our humor and comedy, I'm not sure, but it's okay, you know.
Yeah. So
I don't
goofy,
think
it's
I'm gonna
terrible.
elevate any of that. I'm just gonna say.
No, I think you definitely can for sure. But thanks for being with us here today. We appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. This is the first time that I've got to meet you like in person. So yeah, I'm super excited. So where are you? Where are you hailing from?
I'm from Indiana, like very rural West Central Indiana. Like I live on 25 acres. There's 2 neighbors within a 1 mile radius of my house. Like I am literally in the middle of nowhere.
You were social distancing before it even became popular.
Yeah, this is a pretty legit place to ride out a pandemic, I've got to tell you.
Yeah. And we were talking a little bit before we went on air. How are you faring in this pandemic?
You know, I'm a little bit of an introvert as it is. So I like my alone time. I like my with my family time. And so, you know, I don't think this probably hit me as much as everybody else, but now that we've been at it for 6 months strong or so, I was just telling my wife last week, I was like, you know, I think it's finally starting to really take its toll on me. It has taken its toll on, I've got 3 kids and each of them, we've seen the effects in different ways in each of them and my wife too. But like, I think I was the longest holdout and now it's finally starting to get to me. Like I'm ready to see people and hug people and shake people's hands again and all of that.
Yeah, it is really strange. Just thinking like the last time that I was at Giant Eagle, which is our supermarket, was I couldn't believe it when I've said it for so long now, but March 16th.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So on Wednesday, that's 6 months since I have been in a supermarket. And
Yeah.
how do you eat? I got some funny messages in the last couple of days after our conversation, Melody, on Friday about my last Tuesday with trapping wild animals. But I mean, there's curbside, right? And you can order things from Amazon. But my perception is so off of the time because of actually going somewhere. And so even looking at my camera, and I'm sure like other people can relate too, it's looking at my phone and going back like, okay, the last 4 months have been really boring because there's pictures of worksheets for my students or of animals. And the last time was like I was with Melody and some other friends in Nashville in February. And it's like, where has this year gone? And here we are in mid-September. And I'm ready to be around people. I want to see my friends. I want things to be, I don't know, somewhat normal again, or at least the normal that I was used to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can really relate to that. You know, it's sort of interesting where I live out here in very rural West Central Indiana. In my county, we've had roughly 50 infections and maybe I think 2 deaths since they started measuring in March. So it has not hit our county as much. And so, you know, the ability to go to the grocery store, you know, we still are able to do that while taking our precautions. My kids are all in school face to face. And, it's we're in a county where there are lots of issues with poverty and, being rural, the connections to the internet and everything. We looked at the situation, and it was, with all things considered, it was probably best to send kids back knowing that they would have access to free and reduced lunch. They would have access to special needs. They would have access to counseling. Their parents wouldn't have to take time off. Like, there's all of these things, I think, that goes into it. And so, sorry, I hope I didn't take this like in too wrong of a direction here, but like, I think sometimes people like to paint with very broad strokes about what should and shouldn't happen in schools. And they want to just say across the board, we shouldn't have school anywhere, anytime at all. And I think it's really important to look at the specific situation that every school is in and make the best decision for those kids. Because I feel confident in the decision that we made on ours. So I just bring that up just to say that it's so interesting how in different parts of the country and even in different parts of the world, the experience ends up being very different.
I know.
And I like what you're saying. And honestly, now that we've come this far into it, we are seeing that COVID's not going to go away. We're going to have to adjust somehow to it while protecting ourselves. And really, it is, you have to go with the needs of your community. Mm-hmm. And if your kids can safely start school in their area, why shouldn't they? Mm-hmm. It sounds like your community would also address if they need to go back home or do it from remote, like if that's necessary, that they would. And I've come to the conclusion, like, I feel no need anymore to judge people for whatever decision they're making. It's not worth it to me anymore. I'm about to lose my mind. I'm in Alaska. So I've already feel separated from most of my friends, and I really miss people. Like, I want to go to Vegas for my 40th birthday party. I want these things. And, so whatever, I'm not going to judge. Yeah. I probably said too much. Now people are going to judge me, but whatever.
No, hey, I'm in the same boat. I'm kind of over judging people. I think we all make the best decisions that we can based on the information in the situation that we're in. And, we're still learning so much about the virus and about how to live in spite of it and carefully because of it. And, we're all just doing the best that we can.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And, Matt, you were talking about, like the students, like the lunches, and I mean, just everything about school. I mean, there are so many things, myself included. I forgot about, like a snow delay, for example, and students years ago would say, oh, I wish that we, why do we have to have school? And I'm thinking, yeah, it'd be nice to have the day off, but there are students who that might be the only warm place they have. That's the only place they have an interaction. That's where they know they can count on having food. And I wasn't always aware of that. And I've definitely become more aware of that with each passing year. And even when schools were closed this past spring, shifting from, okay, I'm teaching everything in the classroom, I can see and assess and get those every interaction with every student every day in 42 minutes. And then trying to put all of that into the virtual space didn't work. And then I'm wondering, why aren't they joining in my not mandatory classes? Why aren't they completing the assignments? And then it's like, I wasn't being mindful of their circumstances. And until some of the students said, you know what, I got 4 siblings, I'm working. And it never occurred to me that my students would actually be working because they're essential workers. And so knowing all of that, it's like, how can you, I don't know how I couldn't be aware of it to begin with, but now that I am aware of it, I understand why it's so different for so many people. So it's good that you bring that point up. So don't feel bad about bringing that in the conversation, because we don't know. And Laura Steinbrink, who's a good friend of mine, and she's in Missouri. And Melody, earlier you said you've already been social distancing. There was some picture or something she sent out a while ago where it's her closest restaurant is, I don't know, a 30-minute drive. And for me, I could walk to a restaurant, but it's so different. You too, Matt. Yeah. Yeah. So Matt, you come to Pittsburgh. I mean, we were walking right there. It's so close. And same thing when we were in Austin. I mean, cities like that, everything's so close together, but then when we come from different places. So interesting, definitely need different perspectives.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, it's up to the communities, if the risk outweighs the benefits, then of course, you have to address that. But yeah, and it's cool that you have a rural aspect. We don't also, perspective. We don't often, think about that anyway. So it's cool. And tell us a little bit more about what you're up to and what's going on.
Yeah. So I started my education career in the classroom. I was actually a transition to teaching person. I was a journalism major and worked in daily newspapers for a little bit until I realized that I hated it. So I got out of it. I was covering county government, and, for some reason, somebody, like me doesn't want to spend their whole life in Board of Zoning Appeals meetings and county commissioners meetings. So I became a high school Spanish teacher, just like Rachelle, and taught for more than 10 years. And then since then have published 4 books, including Ditch That Textbook and the newly published Tech Like a Pirate, which I'm super excited about. And I'm now doing, before March, I was doing a lot of in-person professional development, working with teachers, using technology and, creative teaching practices and everything. And then since March, things have changed a lot. I think for everybody, the classroom changed a lot. And then for people like me that do professional development full time, that's definitely changed for me too. I've done a lot of remote professional development, so doing lots of webinars for schools and school districts. I've come up with a way to do my full keynote speech that I would do at conferences in my living room, still with props, still with costumes, still with all of the things that I used to do, but now set up in my living room. And I actually run it through StreamYard, which you guys are using. And I've gotten to do some work with some tech companies that have wanted to do things for teachers and everything. So it's funny how, before everything looked a certain way and now everything kind of looks a different way, but everybody's had to adjust in their different ways. If you're a, day-to-day in the classroom teacher, you've had to adjust and everything's looked different. I think that's just more proof that no matter what your profession, no matter what your walk of life, no matter where you live and what you do, everything kind of looks different right now. And, we've all had to adapt in our own ways.
Yeah, it's definitely my word of the week. I think in the last week I've caught myself, like, you catch yourself saying a word a lot of times and you try to break it. Like when you first start speaking, it's saying, you want to get away from, Yep. My mom always tells me I say like, so I try and avoid the word like. Well, in the last week, I've caught myself saying interesting. That's become my new word. I mean, for lack of anything else, like everything is interesting. What's it like teaching now in this distance learning? It's interesting. And I said it 4 or 5 times the other day. I wasn't doing a podcast and I said, okay, I caught myself and I said, it's different.
Yeah.
But it's like, how do you explain it? I mean, it's so, I don't know. Some of it just at times feels so bizarre to me, and I forget about it. I walk outside. I don't really go very far. Like I haven't filled a gas tank up in like 6 months. I mean, what do I need? No, I'm kidding. Actually, I haven't. But I forget about it. You wake up and you walk outside, and it's like things feel normal, but then you realize, right? I haven't seen anybody. I haven't been anywhere. Like everything's kind of shut down or different now. So I don't know. And I don't feel as disconnected from people because of this format of using StreamYard or Zoom. But then again, aren't we tired of Zoom, Zoom fatigue or whatever?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with that. And, everybody, like we were saying, has had to sort of adapt in their own way. And it also really makes me wonder, after all the adapting has happened, when we go back in the classroom, it seems like so many people are wondering about this, like what will things be like? Will we go back to business as usual? Like a lot of teachers that have been sort of tech resistant or tech phobic even are having to find, ways to do video calls, ways to use Google Classroom or their learning management system, ways to use different tools. My website is an example of that. Like my daily traffic to my website has pretty much quadrupled since the pandemic hit, which goes to show, with all of the things that I write about using technology, that's the stuff that people are looking for right now. And it makes you wonder, now that this is all over with, that newfound information is not going to leak out their ears and disappear forever. It's still there. So it makes you wonder, after this is all over with, what does instruction look like? Do we go back to the same way that we've always done things? I'm kind of the optimist that thinks, now that we've seen this bright new way, well, it didn't really feel bright and new when we had to come up with emergency plans for Monday on how we were going to teach remotely. But like we have some new tools in our tool belt, so it makes me wonder. The optimist in me says we will go back to instruction and we will have new ways of doing things and we will do things differently. But then there's this little pessimistic side that goes, or teachers are going to find more efficient ways to do the rotten, awful things they were doing before. Like technology will make them efficient at their mediocre. I hate to say it that way, but like, I wonder where we're going to land on this and what this is all going to look like.
Yeah.
Well, there's always going to be, you can't sugarcoat that. It's the truth, and we've been in the education system to know that it is the truth, unfortunately. But the thing is that, those of us that are, we just have to keep pushing forward. We just have to keep advocating to keep going forward. If we do go back, it's on all of us. It's not just anybody that's not techie. It's literally about what we do as a collective. And I like this time just to be able to reflect on all of that, like what is the bad part of the education system? It's more than just technology. There's so many issues that we really need to be reflecting on. I think that that's one of the opportunities right now. And I like you, I don't want to go back. Like I want to keep moving forward. Right now I get the privilege of staying home. I am homeschooling. I have 4 kids I'm homeschooling, and I have a 2-year-old that just tags along with all that we're doing. And it's crazy. Like my kids, they want to go back to school. I want to go back to school. Like I want to teach kids that like me. My kids think I'm terrible. So, but so to all the, like, it feels like a crazy world that we're living in. And but when I go back to school, I want it to keep going forward. I want to be part of that,
Yeah.
So, and I always say, now I'm aware that I say, all the time.
Oh, stop. I can't believe you said, that's not the first time you said about teach kids that like me. That is, your kids like
it's an everyday battle here in my house. So it's
but you have all those different levels, and it's not easy. And back to what Matt was saying too, I wondered the same thing, in the spring, okay, what do we have to lose? Take some risks, try some different things. There's the structure. How do you have structure when everything is kind of all over the place? And I worried about myself when you get back into the physical classroom. Are you going to go back to, I used to kind of use this resource or whatever it is. And now with the start of the year, this is the 3rd week of school for me, and we're fully distanced. But I do feel myself being pulled into some of this is the way I taught the alphabet. And these are the activities I have to do. And I have kids that don't have their workbooks. So I'm sending pictures, Microsoft Teams, and I'm trying to get away from that. But in the classroom, when you have Spanish 1, if you're spelling the words for them, how many times you say them over and over, you lose your voice. And last week I thought there has to be a better way to do this. So I sat down and did a bunch of recordings with GoSynth and just 256 seconds, spell the words out twice. If they want to pause it, go back, whatever. And then I don't have to do it over and over, which it's great. But then I'm like, I miss seeing their writing, because I would collect the cards and then I could look for patterns. So then I'm like, okay, I want them to be able to listen to it over and over. I don't want to have to say it 15 times. So what do? Well, then I need something else. So then I could use the whiteboard. I know that the whiteboard FI, but I open up a Nearpod thing and I had them do that, or Microsoft Teams to see it. But, you're thinking, I'm like, I need a worksheet. Do I really need the worksheet? What can I do? But I don't want them on the screen all the time either. And so the back and forth, it is not easy, but I do feel that inner struggle a little bit with some of my classes, and I'm doing the best I can. So I got to think about, what I do today that was really not great. And there's probably a pretty good list that I need to work on for tomorrow, but we'll see. But one other thing I was going to tell you too is I love that when I get the newsletters with all of the ideas from Matt Miller in there, because especially, and I know teachers really appreciate that, because if it's focused on here's what you can do with Google Classroom, or here's what you can do with Google Slides, or it's 10 things. There was one I read from you the other day and I can't think of what it was now. But I was going through and I'm like, oh man, these are fantastic ideas. Yeah. And those tangible bite-sized kind of things are what people need. So I appreciate what you do for sure. And as a Spanish teacher, I definitely appreciate, hey, do you want to teach my classes?
There's a little bit of me that would totally jump in and do that. In fact, my daughter is a high school freshman this year, and she's taking Spanish, and she's talking about how, her I don't think there's a chance that our teacher is going to see this. So, like she goes through and she tries to explain things really quick. And then she gives them a worksheet on something completely different. And she's like, well, go figure it out. And the kid's like, and I'm like, oh no, you got to talk with them. You got to like do a little storytelling. You got to like get those repetitions in with them and make it second nature and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I miss this. And I can't even imagine doing it remotely either,
Yeah.
I mean, trying to do that same thing and trying to get the connection and, the electricity. I remember when I was teaching high school Spanish, one of my favorite things to do is to tell stories. And when I say tell stories, it was like asking stories. And Rachelle, you're probably familiar with TPRS or have heard of it or something. Yeah. I would do little bits and pieces of that. I would, borrow from that. And so we would get our practice that way. And like the electric atmosphere, whenever we've got a really good storyline and we're all kind of building it together and the kids are like hanging on every word, or at least kind of hanging on every word. And like, it's so hard to replicate that stuff. And so, that's where I think we're all kind of dying to get back face to face. And that's also where, like I was saying earlier, I feel so fortunate that my kids are back in that with such minimal risk to their health and their safety, and I know it's not like that everywhere, but yeah, that's, and we've got to think that eventually at some point we're going to get back to that and what that's going to look like. So
I hope so. I miss it. Yeah. But it is hard to teach. Like, I mean, any class remotely, but Spanish, I'm thinking about like the assessments and getting them to talk. I mean, luckily we have tools that we can use for that, but I don't know. There's a lot to it. Oh, look at that.
I know that was a long comment. I want to read it too, but I'm gonna accidentally mark out your face, Matt, but I'm gonna read it, okay? And that's okay. I don't know who Facebook user is, but it says, and imagine what the classrooms of passionate educators will look like once their tech skills are honed after a season of being immersed in tech. I hope that we can hang on to these skills and use them to finally help students become college and career ready. This tech stuff is real life. Testing and test prep won't get kids. Okay. We are actively immersing students in 21st. Yes, I love that. And they also said, I love Matt's emails to lifesavers, every one of them.
Yeah.
Yay. Would it be okay if I shared the link real quick if people wanted to subscribe to my emails?
Yeah, share it and I'll put it in the comments. I love that. I was going to ask that.
Yeah. Easy peasy way to do it is to go to ditchthattextbook.com/101. And the reason it's /101 is that I've got this free ebook whenever you sign up called 101 Practical Ways to Ditch That Textbook. And, so you get that. There's another ebook that comes with it. And there's actually a whole like binder of free downloadable templates that you can assign to your students in Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, Canvas, whatever your LMS is. So you get all of that stuff for free if you subscribe. And then you get the weekly emails with all of the tips and everything once a week. So there it is right there. Go sign up.
Super cool. Yeah, I'm so glad that you shared that with us. And also, if you are watching and you are not part of our Thrive in Education community here on Facebook, please join us. I'll drop the link in that too. And also something that we like to do when we're talking on Mondays is, and I forgot to tell you this, but congratulations on your newest book, by the way, Tech Like a Pirate. Congratulations. And in this community, we are all about sharing. So if you're watching and you have a blog, instructional YouTube, or anything you've created that you want to share with us, please feel free to drop it in the comments. If you're on Twitter, tag @ThriveInEdu, and just please share with us. We want to hear what you are doing also. We thank everybody who's watching with us. And I'm going to drop our community link really quick, and y'all keep talking, talk amongst yourselves.
No. Oh, Barbara joined in. Nice. Signed up. Yeah, the resources are great.
That's a name I've got to say real quick that I recognize from Twitter. I've seen her in my Twitter notifications for a while, so I'm excited to have her signed up. That's cool.
Yeah, definitely. I love the connections through Twitter when you actually get to see somebody face to face and you're like, you recognize them maybe from their picture. But the other thing too that maybe what? You can sometimes. I don't know.
That's the truth. Yeah, that's the truth.
But it's always fun. But yeah, this group. And then Matt, I was going to ask you, is there anything coming up this week? Chats, any learning events, conferences, webinars that you're involved in that you want to share?
Yeah. Let's see. I've got on Tuesday, which I guess is tomorrow, I'm going to be doing a live video on my YouTube channel about some of the live events through Skype in the classroom that are coming up. And so I'm going to have a couple of Skype Global Learning Mentors, formerly called Skype Master Teachers, but these are now called Global Learning Mentors. We're going to have Diane Smokrowski and Shannon Miller on to talk about some of the cool things that are coming up. So, the YouTube channel is just called Ditch That Textbook. So if you run over to YouTube and you search for it, go subscribe, and that will be tomorrow, I think at 7 p.m. Eastern. So that should definitely be a good thing. And, other than that, I keep publishing new stuff onto the blog, and trying to think what we had recently. We did just recently publish a post about Jamboard that has been pretty popular, just some ideas on how to use it. If you're not familiar with Jamboard, it's this great free app that you can get through G Suite, through your Google tools. That's kind of like a whiteboard where you can put sticky notes and images and text and all sorts of stuff on it. And it's real collaborative. And I've seen a lot of buzz out on the Twitters and in social media and everything about Jamboard these days. And so, there's a post about that if you want to go check that out too. So that's kind of what's coming up for me anyway.
All right. And I missed the chat last week. I think it was last week. I don't know. Was it last week?
Yeah. That's the Ditch Book Twitter chat, which is on Thursdays at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. And yeah, it's like a quick 30-minute chat. We usually do about 4 questions, and there's always a ton of resources that come out of that. So yeah, that's another thing I guess that's coming up.
Yeah, I think it's on my calendar, like my repeating every week. It comes on, and then I don't know what happens to me.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm sleeping at 10 because I'm usually working, but I always miss it. But I do enjoy when I get you get the recap, and there's like different tweets and responses from people. So good chat, 30 minutes. Those are the great ones to get some quick ideas. So yay, thank you. All right, Melody.
Sorry, I was on mute. There was a lot of stuff happening in my house.
I so wanted to go, you're muted, because I haven't said that like 4,000 times.
Check that off our bingo board.
That's what we should have done. Play bingo. Like, you're muted.
Can you see my screen?
That's another one.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay. Well, and don't forget also you have stuff coming up too, Rachelle, on your Revolution. Did you already talk about that?
No, it's Wednesday and you're on it. So I'm having you.
Yes, that's why I especially wanted you to talk about
it. So 4:00 Eastern on learningrevolution.com. Just sign up. It's the Thrive in EDU weekly Wednesday show. And this week I have Melody, Jeff Kubiak, and Dr. Joy Linnell Powell talking about the books they've written, authors, the power of telling your story. So join in. It's live. We do share it later on YouTube. So please join us. And
yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I wasn't just being conceited or anything, but I am really looking forward to that.
I would have mentioned it. So yeah. So Matt, thank you again for joining us. Great to have you. Great to see you. And,
all right. Likewise.
Connect and learn from you.
And then I'm sorry. Yes, it is nice meeting you in person. This is as in person as we're going to get for however long, right? And again, congratulations on your newest book. I hope a lot of people will check out ditchthattextbook.com. And I know a lot of people follow you, but there's thousands of people that still need help. There's so many teachers. Then most of them, we need each other.
No, I really appreciate it. It's been fun hanging out with you guys. Let's do a virtual fist bump. What do you say?
I don't know how that works.
No, you put one down. You put one down at the bottom of the screen. I'm going to go up here and get Melody. Ready? Put your fist down. Just put it down at the bottom of the screen like that.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Boom. See, there we go. Boom. We got it. Yes. All right, Rachelle, ready?
No, I don't know what I'm doing.
Other side. Go down. There you go. All right.
I did it. Can we delete that? Can we edit?
Sorry.
Yeah, I wish we could edit that because I don't have a long sleeve shirt on. All right, everybody, take care, and we'll see you at Thrive O'Clock on Friday. Thanks, Matt. Bye, Rachelle.
Bye.